Hey guys, welcome back. In this particular video, we are going to talk about depreciation methods. Okay, so in our previous video, we generally talk about what is depreciation, what is the need of depreciation, and what are the key factors while we generally calculate depreciation. Okay, so now in this video, we will start with the methods of calculating depreciation. So as you know, we have number of method to calculate depreciation. Here we are going to discuss some important methods and with some examples as well. Okay, so like we have a straight line method, we have sum of years, we have a unit production method, we have double decline method. So we will start with a straight line method. But before coming to a straight line method, you need to remember the major factors of depreciation. So whenever you calculate depreciation, there are some factors which, like, on the basis of these particular factors, we generally calculate the depreciation rate. Okay, so these are like the cost of that particular assets. Okay, and the life of that particular asset, or the scrap value, or we can say the residual value of that particular asset. Okay, so on the basis of these particular factors, we generally calculate depreciations, and or we can say, to calculate depreciation you need these particular thing. Okay, so let's say if you calculate depreciation, so you need a cost. So cost, which is purchase cost of an asset. Okay, let's say you buy a car worth rupees 15 lakh rupees. Okay, so that is a cost, purchase cost. And residual, or scrap value, or salvage value. So after, like, let's say the age of that particular car is 10 year, and after 10 year, when you will sell that particular car in a scrap, you will get, suppose, that 2 lakh rupees. So while measuring the depreciation, so you have to minus that particular one from your cost to company. Okay, so we have different methods. So we will start with a straight line method. And whenever you talk about straight line method, it is one of the simplest method to calculate depreciation. Okay, so here basically, if you talk about the depreciation amount or expense, so that remains same over the period. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let's say you buy a machinery worth rupees 10 lakh. Okay, you buy a machinery which is the purchase cost is 10 lakh rupees, and the scrap value is suppose that the salvage value is suppose that 2 lakh rupees. So after, and the age of this particular machinery is suppose that 10 year. Okay, so now if you talk about the straight line method, as I earlier mentioned, in this particular method we generally reduce the same amount over the period. So first, 10 lakh minus 2 lakh. Okay, so you have to minus this one. Your value is 8 lakh rupees. Now the age of this particular machine is 10 years, so it is 8 lakh divided by 10. So the outcome will be your depreciation for next 10 years. And if you talk about the accountancy, so if you have to debit your profit and loss P&L accounts for this particular amount every year for next 10 years, and you have to credit your provision account. Okay, so provision against depreciation, so you have to credit that particular one. We discussed the debit and credit rule as well. So in our previous video we talk about the accountancy for depreciation as well. So hope with this particular example you get an idea about the depreciation. Okay, so straight line depreciation is very common, and the simplest method of calculating depreciation expense. In a straight line method, depreciation expense is the amount for every year is remain same for a useful life of that particular asset. Okay, so like this is one of the simplest method. So here the expense or the percentage of depreciation that remains same throughout the life of that particular asset while you're using a straight line method. Okay, so I'll give you some example that will give you more clarity about the straight line method. But before going to that particular one, we have a formula to calculate the straight line method. So the factors, if you talk about the factors of straight line method, these are cost of that particular asset. Suppose that you buy an asset worth rupees 12 lakh minus estimated residual value or scrap value. Suppose that it is 2 lakh rupees. The age of that particular machine is, or the economic life of that particular machine is, suppose that 10 year. Okay, so in this particular case your amount will be which is like 10 lakh divided by 10, which is 1 lakh rupees. So every year you have to minus, for next 10 years you have to debit your PNL as for depreciation account for that particular machinery, and you have to create a provision so you can replace that particular machinery after 10 years. So this is a very simplest method. That's why, like, because we have a fixed rate of depreciation in this particular method as well. Okay, so I'll give you an example as well, so which will give you more clarity. Now we have a case. So there is a asset whose cost is 1200 rupees. Residual scrap or salvage value in this particular case is 200 rupees, and the life or the economic life of that particular asset is 4 year. So now you remember asset cost is 1200, so 1200 minus 200. Okay, so 1200 minus 200, which is 1000, and 1000 divided by 4. So what will be your outcome? 250 rupees. So for next 4 year you have to debit your PNL account by 250 rupees, and it will credit it to your provision accounts. So provisions for depreciation by 250 rupees. Okay, so hope with this particular example you get an idea about how to calculate depreciation by using straight line method. Okay, so now this is one of the simplest case, or this is one of the simplest method to measure the depreciation. Now sometime there are some add-ons, or like when you study the different cases. Okay, so we made some there are some value added during the life of that particular machinery. So how to adjust those particular cases? Okay, so additional capital expenditure are made to increase the value of a fixed asset. Okay, and so now let's say you buy a machinery worth rupees to 1200 rupees. Okay, so after 2 years, or after the age is supposed that 10 year. Okay, but after 2 year you there was a you buy a new spare part, or you buy a new equipments for that particular machinery worth rupees 100. So if you are making some, if there is some value addition of, or if there isn't, so there is some cost involved in that particular thing, so you have to make an account for that particular one as well. So for these kind of adjustment you have to, like how we generally made calculation, so we will understand through this particular one. Okay, so depreciation of those extra capital expenditure, which is 100 rupees in this particular case, should be charged over remaining useful life. Now, as I gave you an example, so you buy a machinery worth rupees 1200, and age is suppose that 10 year. Salvage value is suppose that 0. Okay, the scrap value is 0 in this particular case, let's suppose. Okay, so now after 2 year we made an expense of 100 rupees. We made a capital expenditure of 100 rupees on this particular one. So for first 2 year, it will be 1200 divided by 10, but after that you have to add that particular 100 rupees as well, and like it is you have to calculate the 1200 divided by 100, so and plus 100 divided by 8. So here is 10, because the age was 10 year, and here we have a age of 8 years. Okay, because we buy that particular equipments after 2 years. Okay, so in that particular case, so I'll give you an example which will give you more clarity. Okay, so go through this particular example, read carefully, so you'll get the clarity about these kind of cases as well. So a company bought a machine rupees 1000 on January 1st 2021. Okay, the estimated economic life of this particular machine is 4 year, and the salvage value is 0 in this particular case. Okay, so 1st January 2022, which means after 1 year. So after 1 year, an additional motor of rupees 90 was fitted into the machine. Okay, so after 1 year, we made a capital expenditure of 90 rupees. So expected that the useful life of the machine would not be affected, which means in this particular case the useful life is still 4 years for this particular machinery. Now how you will calculate this one? So for the first year 2021 to 22, so for first year your depreciation will be 1000 divided by 4, so equal to, that is 250 rupees. So first year it will be 250 rupees. Okay, so the depreciation charge on this particular machinery for the year 2021 will be 250 rupees only. Now next year onward, so next 3 years, so next 3 years we have this capital expenditure. So 250, if you calculate this one, so for second year it will be 250 plus this 90 plus 3, because the now the age of that particular machinery is 3 year only. So 90 plus 3 is equal to 30 rupees. So for the third year it will be 280 rupees. For for second year 280, for third year again 280, and for fourth year again 280 rupees. So this way you generally calculate these kind of, or you solve these kind of problems. Hope this is clear to all of you. So I'll show you the explanation as well. So here you can see for depreciation for year 2021 is 250 rupees, because we are using straight line method. Okay, so 1000 divided by 4, which is 250 rupees. Annual depreciation from 2022 onwards, which is this 250 rupees plus 30 rupees equal to 280 rupees. So like sometime examiner they generally give you these kind of cases as well. So you have to, like, even they can change the age of that particular machinery. Like after making an expenditure of 90 rupees, the age of that particular machinery is 5 year, or remain 4 year maybe. Okay, so the overall age will be 5 years. So you have to calculate accordingly. Hope you're getting this particular point clearly. Still, if you have any query, please do mention in comment. Okay, now we'll solve one more question for straight line method, so which will give you more clarity. So there is a practice question. So ABC Limited acquire a machine on 1st of October 2022 at a cost of 4 lakh rupees. Okay, so the cost of that particular asset is 4 lakh rupees, and a salvage value, scrap value, or residual value is 0 in this particular case. Okay, now next thing is the firm write off depreciation at 10%. Okay, so the firm here, like, we do not have the age of that particular asset and all, but they mention the depreciation rate here. Okay, so the firm write off the depreciation at 10%. So if you calculate 10% of 4 lakh, so 10% of 4 lakh equal to 40,000. Okay, so it is 40,000, right? So the next point, the book are closed on 31st of March every year. Show the depreciation on machinery for next 3 years. Now here there is a little twist in this particular question, because if you see the calculation for the first year, so the depreciation will charge for 6 months only. Okay, so you have to take care about these kind of entries as well. So like we buy that particular machinery in October, so October, November, December, January, February, March, so we have 6 months. So for the first one, like the depreciation in this particular case will be 40,000. The annual depreciation amount is 40,000 per annum. Okay, but for the first year it is 6 month only. So 40,000 divided by 2, it is 20,000. So now if you calculate for 22, for 2022, your depreciation amount will be 20,000. If you calculate for 2023 or 23 onward, your depreciation will be 40,000. Okay, for 2024 again it will be 40,000, and for 2025 again it will be 40,000. Okay, so this way you have to calculate. So the cases are very simple. I hope you understood this particular case as well. So you just need to read that particular question carefully, and straight line method, if you are using straight line method to calculate the depreciation, so here the good thing is the amount remains same over the life of that particular assets or that particular machinery. Okay, but sometimes they give you little bit twist in that particular question, like here we have to adjust for 6 months only. In our previous example, there is some add-on or some capital expenditure made on that particular asset, so you have to adjust those particular things. Okay, so guys, in this particular video we generally talk about the straight line method, or how to calculate depreciation by using straight line method. So one by one we will cover all the different type of methods, and I'll give you some examples so you can have a clarity about this particular method. So hope you enjoy the video. If you like, so please do share with your friends, and please do subscribe the channel and like the video. Thank you for the watching. Thank you.